Hello, so today we have energetic marketing and copy coach Mia Kercher here with us to share her soulful scaling story. So welcome and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here.
So we're going to get into your story, but first let's talk about where you are now. So please introduce yourself and tell us what your business looks like today.
Yeah. So, what my business looks like today, the reason I call myself an energetic marketing and copywriting coach is because, I started out as a done for you copywriter. I had various iterations of that business until I found my niche, the thing that really worked for me. And I remember things were my background is very strategic, very much like learned from copy hackers and, James Wedmore and these like famous strategic copywriting people. And things would just be very stop and go in terms of business. Like, okay, I'd get some clients and then it would be a struggle again. And I'd get some clients and it would be a struggle again. And then I was working with a spiritual teacher mentor at the time, and she was like, why don't you just channel your ideal clients? Like, why don't you incorporate some of your spiritual energetic gifts? And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? And once I started to blend the two sort of worlds that I'd been living, that's when things actually really took off in my business. And it was pretty amazing. I think it was within really a month, but it felt like overnight, fully booked, waitlist, doubling my like it was really amazing how well it took off. And so what I realized is just in this marketing business world, it's so important to have both sides, to have the strategic side where you have the plan and you know how to sell and you know how to talk about your offers, and then to have the other side of, are you incorporating yourself, like your unique gifts, even if you're not like super spiritual or into energetics, like your hobbies, your personality, your own stepping into more confidence. So I think both just have to go together. In terms of what that looks like, essentially they're both incorporated into all my teachings. It's like, yeah, here's a strategy about how to optimize your sales page, and here's a meditation you can do to get more aligned energetically with your offer and your ideal clients. So yeah, in terms of the courses that I now teach or the coaching that I do with people one-on-one or in groups, they're always like mixed up. They're hand in hand.
So you're offering both coaching, and then do you still have done for you work in your offer suite at the moment? What does it look like in your business right now?
I'm not offering it publicly. So at the end of last year, I decided I wouldn't take on any new done for you clients. So throughout this year, I've had a few of my old clients, like, well, the clients I had before, they will kind of trickle in and have me help them with launches or various projects. So that's like, how often is that? I would say every couple of months or every few months I'm doing a done for you project, but it's definitely very much in the background.
Right. So everything you're focused on now is coaching, and this is what you're doing. So both the energetic and the strategy and all that fun stuff to do with coaching. So
Yes.
Very cool. And I'm going to come back to, don't you worry, we're going to come back to talking about the energetics and whatnot. But I want to first get into when you first started on your entrepreneurial journey. What did your business look like then?
Oh, I mean, I first started out doing SEO blog content writing. So I was mainly doing blogs for people. And
when was this?
This started in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. I started doing that in 2018. Found some people in like Facebook groups, where I was like, oh, I have a skill in writing, and does anybody know of something? And then got a few gigs doing that. And then I was like, this is really something I can do. So it started out with the blog writing and maybe occasional ads, but mostly those long form blogs. Writing, like getting paid per word a lot of the time. Like you get paid this much per this many words.
I mean, but a lot of people start out like that, right? This is not an uncommon pathway to get into this world that we are living in currently. So let's talk about your journey, because I think that this will kind of be like the meat of it. It'll be really cool to see, okay, how do we go from paid per word blog writing to now like energetic marketing and copy coach in not that long of a time, in a few short years. So can you take us on this ride on your journey through from the beginning to where we are now, and how you really were able to, like you said, like step into your authentic self and find that and use that to really explode your business?
Yeah. So let's see. I think what happened was that first, what I was doing, the freelancing gigs, they were definitely just like, okay, I need to make some money. I have this skill. I can do this. Got pretty booked doing that. And then I think with any type of business that you do, you can try so hard to get booked. And then once you get booked and you're doing the work, you're like, wait, this isn't that fun. Like, I'm not really enjoying this.
Right? You're like, this is good, but not like all day, every day. Or it's like, okay, just because I start doing this or because I can get clients doing this doesn't mean that this is what I have to do from now until the end of time.
Yeah. And I know a lot of the times I've looked back and gone like, damn, what if I had just stuck with that and like built out an agency, and that would have made so many less challenges than pivoting all these times. But I mean, ultimately, you do have to do what you want to do, or else you are just going to end up feeling stuck.
Well, or else you'll be like me and then making this agency as this VA general, whatnot, and then be like, why am I doing this? And then like wake up one day and be like, but I don't like this. Why did I build this whole thing? And then start over with something different, right? So it's true that when you really want to be sustainable and happy, because that's why we're doing this, right? Is to really feel fulfilled, that we really need to find the things that actually fulfill us. So you were like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm booked out, but I don't feel fulfilled. And then what happened? Then what did you do?
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, copywriting, that's more, I can do websites, I can do sales pages, these kinds of things. So it started out as just like I would do any kind of copywriting for, I think what I had said originally was creative entrepreneurs. I was like, like creative people. But then I ended up stumbling upon, okay, well, who really considers themselves to be a creative person? And I was running into a lot of like artists or people selling, artwork, creative projects, things like that. But their mindset around selling their art and investing in somebody to help them sell it was just, it was all convincing. It was like, this is really important thing to do. You should invest. Like you should have a copywriter. It felt like pulling teeth. So then I was like, I used to do so much writing for coaches, and they really had no problem hiring a writer, outsourcing this kind of thing.
Right.
And it's so funny how things are just so random a lot of the time, where you're just like, okay, let me try this.
That's a part of it too, right? Like that's part of the journey. Like at least definitely for me, like I'm the type of person, like I need to like do the thing to see if I actually like it or to see. So it's random, but I feel like part of the journey is the doing. And from the doing, you're like, okay, this fits or it doesn't fit, because you can think about it all day long, right? But until you actually go and try it out, that's when you see if it's good, if it works for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You never get it like perfectly by just like going and being a hermit and like going to the top of a mountain and thinking about it. It's never going to happen unless you actually try something and see what happens.
So, so now you're like, okay, these coaches, they like to invest. Like, let me go back to them, because then I have to convince them that I'm worthy, that they need me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in that, I got into launch copy, because launching is such a huge part of the coaching business, is like launching your courses, launching your programs, all of that stuff. And I really liked launch copy because it's like this exciting, you really get to see the results come in pretty quickly. You can like be part of this energetic time. So that is what I ended up doing, like for quite a while, was doing the launch copywriting, and some funnels, quite a few
Cool.
funnels as well, like making those launches evergreen for people.
So you
But
spent a while like, okay, I'm doing this, it's going well, right? Like I'm doing this done for you, launch copy for these coaches, it's feeling good. And then something happened, I imagine.
yeah, I would say then it was more of a gradual thing. Like, okay, I'm doing this copywriting for these coaches. And I think from a business perspective, I was like, I really need to have something a little bit more tangible to talk about, rather than just copywriting, sales, selling your offers. It was like people needed something more tangible to grab onto. So that's also why I got into the launch copywriting, because it was like, we can talk about a launch that they have, a course that they're promoting. And then just having that specificity in terms of positioning an offer and talking about an offer, it's so helpful to be able to be like, this is the thing you're working on, this is the goal that you have, and I can help you with it, rather than being like, I'm good at selling things.
It's important. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And specificity it's interesting, because I have talked to, like, I love all the different viewpoints of when you get to do things like this and talk to all these cool people, because I agree with you, because the minute that I was like, oh, this is my like kind of like something that came to me is like, oh, this is my thing. And it makes talking about it so much easier. Then there's also people who are sort of more general and it really works for them, or they know how to talk about that in a way that, I don't know, just flow for them, and they're also super successful. So I think the thing that I want to point out is that it's what resonates with you and what you can talk about, right? And like what you're excited about. So I don't like to tell people, this is you have to do XYZ 1, 2, 3, right? This is like you have to do what feels aligned with you. And what felt aligned with you was, like for me, or like in your words, if I'm you, right? Like, I love talking. Okay. I love to talk about these tangible things and like simplify this. And if I focus on this, like feels better for me. That's easier for me to do. Like, perfect. So let's go down that route. Right? Like, did I misspeak in any of that, or did that kind of encapsulate it?
Yeah, it does. It does. And the thing is, like, what people often think about marketing is like, okay, I have to go and figure out how to market, and then I'm going to fit my offer and what I do into a marketing strategy that works. Whereas really it's about figure out what you want to do, and then we make the marketing hold that up and take it where it needs to go. Because even if you're like a general, anything, like a lot of my clients are life coaches. So I use that example a lot, where like, even if you're a general life coach and you could literally help anybody do anything, that's fine. And we can come up with the messaging and the strategy that will make that effective and sell it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, okay. So now you're on this gradual, like, kind of like a slow transition perhaps into going from done for you into coaching. So what did that look like? And what was the feeling? Because I think that's important to be in tune with, like, what's going on inside of you when you're doing these things, because you were doing the work, right? You're like, you have clients, like things are going well. And what was going on internally that hinted to you like, oh, maybe I should change this a bit?
Yeah. So it's funny because, again, it was like wanting to be fully booked and then getting fully booked. And I was quite overbooked, honestly. I talk a lot about how I was launching like 2 times these huge launches every month for these coaches.
It's a lot of stress. Yeah.
And what I found myself doing was procrastinating a lot, where it would be like, I know how to do this. I know how to do it so well. And I would question myself too, because I'd be like, well, these people, they have great values. They're aligned with my values. I like helping them grow their business and what they're doing in the world. But yeah, projects that didn't need to take me that long, I would procrastinate. Which
I am
really,
nodding. Like I am nodding so much because I'm like, oh my God, yes. Like not just me, but like so many of my clients, my coaching clients that I talk to are like, yeah, like this client I can do, like they kind of like that's a really good clue that something is not fitting anymore. Something's not aligned anymore. You're like, okay, to do this now. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah, like you tried all the strategies. Like you're like, I did the time blocking and I tried the, I don't know, the coffee shop or the co-working space or whatever. And that's when you do have to go into the inner work and be like, okay, my like body, my soul, you know, some part of me is telling me that I don't actually want to be doing this. And it's funny because like fast forward to now, I write copy for myself all the time. I launch like all the time for myself, and I'm never procrastinating it. I just, you know, get right to it and do it and enjoy it. So I do think that those kinds of like, yeah, if you notice yourself really procrastinating something, it can really be a sign that something is off and there's some inner exploration to do.
And was that your sign? Was that like, oh, let me take a look at this, see what's going on in here?
Yeah, I was already doing inner work. Like at the time, yeah, I was pretty actively doing inner work and like on a self-discovery journey of getting to know myself and strengthening my intuition. And so I think that was also part of it, was like all of a sudden I wasn't able to just be hustling all the time, because at some point when you do that kind of work, you actually can't ignore yourself anymore.
You're like, no matter how hard I try, no matter what's happening, I can't do it. Was the work you were doing, you were talking about self-exploration, this was outside of the business realm. This was just you and doing this work outside of business. Is that correct?
Pretty much. So I had a mentor at the time she was like a shaman and she was very spiritual, but she was also into business too. So she didn't help me with any kinds of strategies or anything like that, but I would bring sometimes some things about business to her and be like, what do you think about this? And she would reflect things back and give advice. So it wasn't really business advice. It was still more inner work advice that was connected to business.
Very neat. And I asked that because I have found that, I'm sure that you agree, that when you're doing work in your business, it is such, in and of itself, it is such a journey of self-exploration and self-discovery and growth and all of these things that a lot of people don't realize that is happening. Right? Like, right? Like, so, oh my God. And you're like, what's going on? I just wanted to have it be like, not go to work 9 to 5. Like, what am I doing? And similar to you, I did a lot of these like spiritual types of things right before I started my business. And then I started my business, and then I really had to like lean on and expand and use these practices within myself, in my business, in order to do all of the stuff that we're talking about, right? In order to feel like, oh, like, what am I doing? What's aligned? What does my body feel like? Like all of these things to really be able to step into and grow and build the confidence, et cetera, like of business. So it sounds like you were doing a similar thing as well.
Yeah. It is. It's so funny because like you said, you don't go into business because you're like, I want to find myself, or I want to do inner work or whatever. But I always also say that business is a tool for soul work. And it's funny because a lot of the big lessons that I've learned in business is watching relationship coaches and how they teach about how you interact, like when you're dating somebody. And like looking at your attachment style, like, is it anxious attachment style? Is it avoidant attachment style? Those things. And then thinking about your business as if it's like a person that you know.
What's your attachment style to your business?
Yeah, exactly. What's your attachment style to your business? Like, what is your business like mirroring to you? There's all these different things. And the more you actually grow the inner person and work on these things, the easier business becomes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. Like 100%, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the things, at least from what I've seen, I see a lot of people struggling with like visibility and imposter syndrome and confidence and
Right.
all of that. I feel like this is a huge place where this inner work really helps with those things in business and outside in life. And it's
Yeah.
really cool. Like the transformation and the growth is so cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people are always asking me like, okay, what's a way that I can look more confident in my marketing? Like what are some words I can use that sound more confident? And there are those things, but at the end of the day, do you actually feel confident? Do you actually believe in yourself? Because if you don't, then like it's like putting on, I don't know, clothes that aren't the right size or something like that. It's just not going to work. So,
Well, you can feel it. Like I feel like when I'm writing or when I see other people, like you can feel the energy. It comes through the screen. It comes through the page. It just comes through. And so when you are aligned and when everything is flowing and you're feeling so excited, like that is a totally different energy than when you're like, okay, I'm doing this thing and like, I'm going to write the words that make it sound like that, but like you can feel it like 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are some signs that I notice in people that I'll point out to my clients sometimes where I'll be like, I think you're really hiding behind education here. Like they'll give all these educational tips. And then at the very bottom that you can barely see, they're like, and by the way, you can work with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, start with, and I'll even ask them, like, how would it feel if you got on your stories and you were like, here's why it's amazing to work with me. And most of them are like, no.
Please no. Yeah. But can I just like show you like, my behind the scenes what I'm doing today? Then like whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. So then was your transition then at this point, then were you like, okay, like let me start doing some of this. Like I hold all of this, like, and I think you had told me at a different point that a difference for you was building up your confidence to coach.
Yeah. Yeah. There was building up my confidence in the copywriting too. And then there was also confidence in the coaching as well. Because I had done some coaching, like I would sell strategy sessions that people would sign up for, or occasionally people would buy like several sessions. So I was doing it already, but I think actually even going up to somebody and being like, I'm a coach, that was something that took me a while to build up the confidence to even say, because I'd be like, well, I'm a copywriter and I've been teaching it also. It's like, no, I'm a coach. And if you're asking like what the difference is in feeling that, yeah, it's an interesting question. I think it's just like part of it is doing it over and over again and getting used to it. Also reminding yourself of the results that you've gotten people and the results that people have gotten working with you. And again, that's where the subconscious work often comes in. It's like there's probably like some inner child part of you or something like that that's like, still dealing with things from your childhood where people told you like you're not good enough for that, or you can't do that, or you're not good at whatever. And then that part needs to be worked on in the subconscious as well, where then you can come through and be like, I'm a coach, or, whatever it is you're trying to come out and say, and actually feel like you believe what you're saying rather than just saying it because you feel like you need to.
Yeah. Yeah. So important. So important. So you were able to really step into this coaching role and really just transition fully into this role this year. So, which is
Mhm.
amazing. So starting out writing blogs per word, and then really stepping
Yeah.
into this like energetic marketing and copy coach role. And I think it's so cool to just be able to show people that these things are possible, that like
Yeah.
that it's totally possible, totally doable, that you can claim the thing that you want to be and like actually want to do, you can do that. Like this is
Yeah.
open to you. So
Mhm.
along this journey, what has been just a hurdle? Like what is your biggest hurdle that you have felt like, oh, I'm trying to grow and become and figure out, do like this authentic thing and scale and grow my business. And this is the thing that I keep coming up against.
Mm. So I think because now I guess I've technically pivoted like 3 times.
We're in the same
So
club. We're in the pivot
yeah,
club. We're just going
yes,
to do the thing.
change your podcast name. This is the Pivot Club. Um, yeah, so every time it takes time to get the audience to like catch up with the new thing that you're talking about, or maybe even build, to grow the audience with different types of people now. Like maybe your ideal client needs to shift. Um, so yeah, it does take some time, and you just can't know ahead of time how long it will take. It's like,
Mm,
my pivot from general business owners to coaches was relatively fast, but this pivot from done for you to coaching
mm,
took some time. Like,
mm.
um, for probably the first 3 months, it was like showing up and selling, showing up and selling, showing up and selling, before I could really feel the momentum. And then things did snowball pretty quickly.
And that
Um,
happens, right? A lot of people give up
mhm.
before they're like, oh, this isn't working. And they did it
Yeah.
for like a few weeks. And like, no, this is not catching up. But and do you feel like what made you keep going? Like, why did you keep going when you're like, okay, nothing's happening, nothing's happening, nothing's happening?
I just kept reminding myself that, this is worth it, because this is a result of the inner work. This is a result of figuring out who I am as a person. And this is what I know I want. So it's worth it. And of course there were times where it was like, oh, should I just like go find that one client who used to like pay me a lot? And
Right? The easy road. Yeah, sometimes it is.
yeah,
You're like, oh, I know I could just get this one done for you client and they would pay me and it would be fine.
yeah.
And I don't have to do all of this work. But now, when you're standing here today, was it worth it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Even in the doing it, like how I had said, I would procrastinate that
Mm,
copywriting. And even now when I'm doing copywriting, it's very smooth and it flows. So even though the results weren't there in that time, the act of actually doing it was enjoyable. Um,
mhm.
and that's where people always say, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey. And it's like, that is how you enjoy the journey. Like, do you actually enjoy doing the work? Yeah, it can be frustrating when you need money, etc. But like, do you actually enjoy doing the work? And that's really that's like how you know if you're on the right path, I think.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. And so along those lines, sort of. So this hurdle is really okay. Like we need to be patient and keep going because at some point, that this is like what you want to do, and the tides are going to turn. It's going to catch up and snowball and take off. Like period. Like this
Hmm.
is going to happen if you believe in it, and of course you're like doing things. You're
Yes.
being educated in what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Right.
So from that hurdle and what you've learned, what's a top tip that you would love to share other service providers who are thinking of growing and scaling and that you've learned from your own journey?
A top tip for someone thinking of growing and scaling. Um, I would say make sure that it's something that you actually want to do, not something that you just
Mhm.
think, well, I can do this or I
Yeah.
could do this. So yeah, like on the one hand, take the time, but also be doing action, because again, you can't just disappear from society and figure everything out. It comes through doing action. Yeah. And then in that, I would say, make sure you know how to do it too. Because that is a difference, is like, I did have skills in selling and growing a business and getting clients, that I was able to go, well, I know that these things work and I know that they just take some time. Whereas if you're just going along and doing random things, like taking random tips that you heard from random people, that can just make it take so much longer. I'm sure you can figure it out eventually. But it's not like I'm saying, go hire a one-on-one coach, like pay all your money, which you can hire a one-on-one coach if you want to, but ultimately find a strategy that works and stick to it and make sure you actually know that you're taking steps that are going to work in the end.
Yeah, so it could be like hire a one-on-one coach or have a strategy session or have something like there are pieces. Maybe there's pieces that would make the journey better, easier, more aligned, that feel good for you. So don't be afraid because this, it's so helpful. It's so helpful. I've done this, numerous times myself. I'm sure you have too, like invested in the things that, like, okay, I know I'm really good at like these areas, X, Y, Z. And then there's a couple of areas over here that, maybe I need to boost this a little bit. And with full disclosure, Ms. Mia helped me because one of the areas that I'm growing in is in my messaging and in writing copy that makes sense. The lighting is I don't know how to see. Look, say I can't even say it right. So you helped me and taught me so many just like little things that make a big difference, because that is your area of expertise, and then my area of expertise is more on like the actual like structure and the scaling and like the plan and the strategy behind it, like the bigger picture things. So like learning some of these things is from people along the way. Like this is just going to make the path, like you said, like so much more smoothly, because this is good English, so much smoother and more enjoyable, I think too. It's fun to, I don't know, for me, like I love learning, so it's so fun to like, oh, this is okay, I see you, like I know where we're going with, right? Like it's cool.
And I think also like it's just very important to have support. So I know that for me, I live in a small town where people are not really into personal development, entrepreneurship. So getting that support online, I did join a mastermind at the beginning of the year because I was just like, I do want that support. Like there are big challenges, and when you can't see the big picture, like, oh, I know that in this month the momentum is going to pick up and I'm going to make this, like when you don't know.
Right. The support is so helpful to have that. We're also both part of the club of people who have moved abroad to other countries. So and I think that also makes the finding online support that much more, it's so nice that it's there, like comforting, because you may not have it, like you said, and it's not even just because we moved abroad, but even people just locally, like especially when you're like the crazy person in your family who started a business instead of doing like the normal thing, right? The quote unquote normal thing. So yes, find your support, find your people, find the help where you need it, and really help yourself and believe. To me, it's also believing and knowing that this help is part of the journey. It's an investment in your own growth, both like personally and business wise. So you're always learning and you're always going to get something from it. And it's just really important to do. And it's helped me out. There's no way I could be where I am without like totally on my own, like floating around on a little island. Like there's no way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, I think in today's online business marketing world where it's so like, they got instant results and they got instant results. And then if you join a program or something and you don't, maybe you go through the whole program and still didn't see a lot of results, you can feel like, oh, that was a waste of money. But ultimately, it is like growing your skills, growing your personal strength, growing whatever it was that you were in that program for. And that's right. It really is like when people say you invest in yourself, that's exactly what you're doing. You're investing in yourself as a person, not just in like a 3-month, a 6-month, or whatever kind of program.
Right. Because even if you don't see results right then and there's going to be something that happens. You're going to grow in some way. Maybe that's internally and you don't even realize. Maybe you stepped into the next level of confidence and it's something that you didn't even appreciate at the time. But without that, maybe that confidence push would have taken another year or something like that. So, or maybe like you've taken some things that you've absorbed from being in this community or being in that group and you've subconsciously incorporated that, and then you see these, like things start happening 6 months, a year later. Like, it really is like, what can I get? Like, going into it with the expectation, I agree with you, of like, I'm going to get these instant results. And that's why I like despise the marketing of like, you're going to get to 10K in 3 minutes because I'm going to give you all the secrets. Right? Like, I cannot. I despise this marketing. Okay, so Mia, please let us know how we can stay in touch with you. If there's anything you'd like to share, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so definitely stay in touch on Instagram. That's my most active place. So that's just at mia.kercher. You can follow me there. I have been recording a lot on TikTok lately as well, if you like TikTok. And then I was thinking about a class that I offer. I have a free masterclass, which is called Attract Higher Quality Clients, which I think will be great for anybody who is wanting to pivot, whether you're wanting to pivot services or up-level your ideal client to somebody who's like more willing to invest. So I think we can include the link to access that if you want to get that, and then you'll be on my email list. So there's lots of different ways you can stay in touch. Whatever you do join, just make sure you pop in and say hi so I can actually meet you and talk to you, because I love doing that.
Connecting like a human. Yeah, so we'll definitely have those links there, because that sounds like a perfect gift for everybody listening here. So thank you so much for being here, and this was amazing, and I look forward to connecting further.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for listening, who's listening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.